I'm not going to have these kinds of videos on here very often, so please go to our YouTube channel for the studio, which is Mighty Tripod Acting Studio. Like, not everybody just has a blank wall to stand in front of, set up a camera, and start recording. So I'm going to tell you how and why you should learn how to flip that smartphone. And okay, I am talking about recording auditions with a smartphone. A lot of actors are confronted with the new reality of, more so than ever, we have to record our self-taped auditions from home. And what do we hear? We hear sometimes we need a full body slate, head to toe. We also know that the videos that we send in, they have to look like videos. They have to be in this 16:9 wide shot. This is the frame that we need. But look at this. I cannot send in a head-to-toe slate with a looking like this, because you're so distracted. You're not looking at me. You're distracted by the stuff on the wall. You're distracted by all these things. And this is what happens when we send in a video, or if we don't have the room in our home. Like, not everybody just has a blank wall to stand in front of, set up a camera, and start recording. So I'm going to tell you how and why you should learn how to flip that smartphone. And okay, I am talking about recording auditions with a smartphone, but what you can do is you can turn the camera in the vertical orientation for your full body slate, and then flip it back to this wider shot for landscape, horizontal for all your scenes, always. And then of course when you export your video, that up and down that vertical slate, it's going to be wrapped in that 16:9, and everybody's going to be happy. The other thing you're going to notice right now is, like, the lighting in this room, it's not great. It's just natural light coming in from the window, and the best light source is the best light is down here, because my window's kind of small, right? But I can't do my audition like this, so I'm going to show you. Well, I'm not going to show you, but I will do a little quick adjustment here, because I want you to see what things look like when you have a light in your room helping you out. And I'm not talking about a room light. I'm talking about a light that you purchase, like a softbox light or something like that, which gives you illumination, so you're not relying on daylight, because sometimes you need to record your auditions and it's night. There is no natural light. All right, stand by for that. Okay, I am still rolling here. It's a lot darker for a reason. I have closed the shade in the bedroom, and I'm also gonna have to talk to you about audio, because I am wearing a lapel mic. I have an external recorder in my pocket, and I'm wearing a mic here. I will have to synchronize that audio with the audio recorded on the smartphone, but pro tip, there are lapel mics or lavalier mics that you can wear on your clothes and that you can plug right into your smartphone. So that might be an option if you're having audio problems. All right, now let's get a little more light on the situation, please. Okay. So lighting adjustment now, obviously, more illumination on the subject, which is me. You can tell I've got a light in the room, because look, there's a shadow in the back. I just turned up the light source. So now we have more illumination on the actor, which is me, which is what we need. All right, so there, wow, awesome. Now I'm going to show you a photo of what that light is. It's a very large light. The light is, well, not the light itself isn't large, but the light diffuser or the light modifier is large. It takes up a lot of space. The light itself is an aperture 120D. All right. All right, we're going to move on to, I'm about to switch that camera, go like this, and show you what it looks like. Oh, one more note, and you'll see this in the photo. My smartphone is on a portable tripod, which is actually mounted on my computer screen, because my desk is over there, and I can't put a tripod where the camera is because it wouldn't fit. Well, I suppose I could put a small tripod on the desk itself, but yikes, I'm just talking about a lot of things and giving you guys a lot of information here, but stick with me, because even though this video is going to be a little bit on the long side, you're going to get a ton of information. All right, stand by. All right, and I'm back. Okay, the camera is in the exact same place. The light has not changed. But look, there's all this headroom now. There's all this room in front of my feet. So we can tell right away by changing the orientation of that camera, things change drastically here. So right away we know, hey, we can either shoot this and then edit it, because all this stuff up there, we don't need that. All that carpet, we don't need that. Or, and this is what I recommend, I need to get closer to the camera, or the camera needs to get closer to me. So if I'm moving closer to you, the backdrop's gonna follow. That is gonna change a bit about the lighting. Also, since we're talking about lighting, I wanna talk to you a bit about auto exposure. What you just saw there, you just saw it again. You'll see how the exposure is tweaking and changing. It's automatically adjusting. I'm going to talk to you about changing that and making, using the AEAF lock function on your iPhone. Okay. Basically, we don't really like that, the effect that, yeah, there it is again. See, you saw me kind of hop into there. Gets brighter back here, and then it adjusts. It's basically trying to figure out the right balance, the right exposure, depending on what it sees in its frame. But I want you to learn how to lock that down so it's not automatically adjusting all the time. All right. Okay, so I moved the backdrop a lot closer. You can't see my feet, all right, but we're getting closer. We're getting closer to minimal distractions, meaning the only thing you really see is me and this backdrop. So, like I mentioned, you know how my tripod, my portable tripod, is just stuck on top of that computer monitor. I want the camera lower, but I don't really want to tilt it, because if I tilt, that's going to cause distortion. Might as well show you. See if, so tilting, look, I see the floor. Now I imagine my body might look a little distorted here. It's not terrible. I do see feet here. Rex, a lot of times in a full body slate, they're going to want to see hands. They're going to want to see your profiles, okay? And that the exposure is doing its automatic adjusting thing, which I don't like. So I would say ideally, I just need that whole tripod to lower, which is not an option. Oh, hey, close up, what's up? Light actually looks halfway decent there. It's a little bit too much on the side, a little too much shadow over here. Okay. So that's looking a little bit nicer. I can't see my feet, which, is there a way to see my feet? I can back everything up, right? Which might give me a little bit more of the room. Or, we know the feet are down there somewhere. The tripod is no longer on the top of the computer. It's on the desk. The eye line for the camera, or the lens, is actually hitting me right here. In scenes, when we're shooting a scene and we're landscape, we want our lens to be on our eye line. So when we're talking to our scene partner, the camera is on the same level as our eyes. For this slate, if the camera's lens was higher, this shot would not be possible, because we'd have to tilt down the camera and all of that kind of stuff. One thing you could try in this orientation, you could try turning the camera 180 degrees so the lens was at the bottom, but I'm not sure if that would make much of a difference. I think this looks fairly normal as far as, I don't think there's distortion happening here. There's a little bit of headroom at the top, which I can crop out on my phone. I can crop that headroom out, okay? And I know that the exposure is automatically adjusting, but I'm about to change that right now. Another thing I'm going to tell you is that I'm using the front-facing camera. So, AEAF lock. All you have to do is hold your finger down on your screen until the AEAF lock function pops up. Here's the challenge. I can't reach the screen from way back there. Okay, I just locked the function here. Okay, so now you'll notice as I'm moving, the exposure is no longer changing. What I am noticing here is that for me, this is producing quite a bit of light, but it's a little bit too much on the side. You can tell that the source is over there because the shadow is behind me. In a perfect world, I think I would probably move that light that way so it was centered up with the camera, or add another light on that side of the camera so I wasn't quite as blasted with light on one side. Now that I'm here though, I've locked in the exposure and the focus. I can make adjustments to the intensity of my light, which might make skin tones look better. Now things are starting to look a bit moody, which I don't like either. So I think for this situation, I would find the proper exposure. I'd use AEAF lock. The other thing you can do with this lock function is once it's locked in, you can kind of play with exposure like that, with just dragging your finger or your thumb up and down on the screen, which is also a cool function. Now that's, again, a little bit too dark. Add some light here. Hey there, I'm David Hogan, yada yada yada. This frame is too dark. So what I'm going to show you now is by perhaps adding a bit of light, natural light coming in, opening the shades. Now we are mixing light. We're mixing daylight with some light from the Aperture 120D. Things are looking a bit nicer, a bit more evenly exposed here, which I kind of like. So maybe the next step here, if this was going to be my self-taping room, I would probably want to add a secondary light. All right. The other thing that's a little tricky here is that the camera's kind of far away, so I can't really. It's always nice to have someone helping you with your self-tapes, because I can see myself and I can see what's going on. I can see the light, but I can't see it all that clearly because it's way over there on the phone. Let me try one more thing here while I'm playing. I'm going to move this down to 40%. Okay, so now I modified that light, and now let's add a room light. So I've added that light over there, making little tweaks, working with the lighting that is available. Again, like I said, I would probably add another light here to just get a little more light on me overall. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to add more intensity with my Aperture 120D. Come back here. I've got the AEAF lock on, which now means I'm way too bright. Bring it down. I still think because of the direction of the lights, it's coming from here. You can tell the shadows over there, right? Boom, shadow. I just would want more light coming from this side, all right? Okay, the next thing on the docket is I am going to shoot a scene, or I'm going to at least put the camera in a position where I would be shooting a scene. So I'm going to switch the camera's orientation. We're going to play with the light that we have, and we're going to keep talking so we can talk about how do we edit these two things together inside of iMovie on our iPhone. A lot left to do. Hope you're still with me. Okay, so first off, AEAF lock has not been initiated. We have we have a squeaky chair, don't we? David's squeaky chair is in the house. I've changed the position of my lapel mic, or my lavalier, because I realized it was on this hoodie and probably super noisy. Now I'm kind of fixated on all the wrinkles in the screen. Stay focused, David. All right, so first thing I want to bring your awareness to is that the camera is basically, the smartphone is pretty much eye level. This is a medium close-up frame, which is about mid-chest with a little bit of headroom, which is the space between the top of your head and the top of the frame. So medium close-up frame, this is where a lot of self-taped auditions want you to be. I'm trying to spot where the lens is, which is very hard to find on a smartphone with the front-facing camera, at least on the iPhone X. So I'm attempting to look into the camera to connect with you. Now, if I was doing an actual scene, when I'm recording a scene, I do not want to look into the lens. I want to look at my scene partner. So I might look on this side of the lens or on that side of the lens, right? You can also flip the camera around so the lens is on this side. Do whatever makes you happy. We still only have one light coming in. There is daylight coming in through the blinds, which are closed, but that is adding a bit of light. And you'll see shadows are over here. Oh, look, now see my hand even reflects that light and gives me a bit more illumination on the face. So this is too moody for a typical self-tape. Okay, so the solutions would be, and I think I mentioned this already, you can either bring that light center so it's on the same axis as you, maybe right above the camera so it's centered and we're providing illumination that is even across the face and not light shadow. A lot of light here on this side of the face and shadow here. Or you can add a reflector, like a white bounce, a white reflector on this side, so we have the light hitting the reflector and then spilling onto your face. Or you can add a secondary light, which I'm going to do right now. So that's a secondary light, which is primarily hitting the backdrop, it looks like. You can change the angle. This one has barn doors, which you probably just heard. So now there's more illumination on the face. I'm not entirely in love with this lighting right now, but I wanted to at least show you that you can make tweaks by adding a second light. All right. So now what I want to do is I have AEAF lock initiated, so I'm going to bring things down just a touch. Take off my glasses, see if my eyes are illuminated. Is there light getting into my eyes? Not a whole lot. keep the hat on, the hair is not ready for the camera. But at least now we have a little more light on the face because we have 2 light sources instead of just 1. Now it's very hard for me to do this video and move lights, but I'm trying the best I can. I'm going to move this light in so I can actually grab it or handle it. Okay, moved it down a little bit. I'm now touching the light. It's a little bit close. Now the light is too hot. So I'm going to turn it down. This light is dimmable, which is nice. Obviously that's dimming in the wrong direction. It's not dimming at all. So we want, basically what I'm trying to accomplish now is that this light, the large light on my right hand side, camera left, up a little bit high. It's even up a little bit too high. I would bring that light down a bit. This is my key light. This is a fill light. Your fill light doesn't want to be quite as strong as your key. Bring it up just a tad more. And basically what I am trying to demonstrate to you is that when it comes to working with lighting, I want you guys to do a lot of testing. Testing and shooting and retesting. Test, shoot, retest, test again, shoot again. Lighting looks... right now I'm looking at the backdrop, so I kind of like maybe that for my backdrop. Now I'm looking at the illumination on the face. I think what I'm going to do is actually turn down my fill light a little bit. If I can find the knob without moving, which is half the battle. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit nicer, a little bit. I'm not in love, but I would need to do a lot more tweaking. You don't need 3-point lighting for a self-tape audition. If you happen to have 3 lights and you want to do 3-point lighting, by all means, but it's not needed. We need to see you, we need to hear you, you need to follow the taping instructions, and 2 lights is usually perfectly fine. Okay, I added a little more light there. Now I'm going to turn this one down a bit. Okay, so... see, right now I'm just moving the barn door and I'm looking at how that changes the light on the backdrop. I'm sorry for the squeaking, that's obnoxious. I think I like it like that better. Now I'm just going to move the light a bit. That actually brings it back. But I'm looking at my face and I want to find a good light value for the face. I think things are kind of how I want them to be. Obviously there's light here, you can see that because my hand creates a shadow on my face. There's a lot of light here. The backdrop is fairly evenly illuminated, so this might be a nice quality of light to do my self-taped scene. My scene, whether it's a commercial scene and I'm looking right into the camera, or if it's a scene where I have a reader and I'm talking to my scene partner and I'm putting them on that side of the camera or that side of the camera, okay? So you just have to know where the lens is. Again, with smartphones they're hard to see. Smartphone lens is right there. So perhaps put my scene partner right next to the lens on that side. Perhaps I put them right next to the lens on this side. I don't put them over here or over here. All right. I don't think there's anything else I want to cover. Let me look at this AEAF lock one more time. Again, that's all. It's getting way too moody and that's too bright. So I'm trying to find like what feels like really good even exposure. And again, as a final reminder, when you have AEAF lock set, you can make those manual adjustments with your finger for exposure, and you can also, once it's set, you can set the exposure for the backdrop, meaning, okay, so maybe that's too dark for the backdrop. I think it's a little bit too dark. I like that. I want the backdrop to be basically like that. Things are looking pretty good here, but I want a little more light from my face. Now, you do know, because the lights are relatively close, the light on the backdrop will change when I increase the light here on the lights, or the intensity on the lights, but mostly I'm still using AEAF lock to make some adjustments either with the camera or getting things how I like them. And actually I kind of like that because I like a little bit of shadow, but again, shadows are going to be, and that's very intense and moody, shadows are going to be too much, or too many shadows is not recommended for self-tapes. And actually that's kind of what I'm doing here is I actually have the light fixture on this side turned away. It's turned towards me right there. It's like it's aiming right at my face, but now I'm just rotating it away from me and towards the camera. And because it's got some diffusion on it, I'll take a picture of that as well. The moral of the story is get your space set up, and then really play with your lighting and tweak it so you can find what works best for you and what makes your skin and yourself look the most flattering and amazing, visible, and all that jazz. So that seems too bright. I like it right in about there. And still I can play with intensity a bit, dialing it up too much, dialing it down a little too far down. Maybe something in here. It's a little bit brighter on this side of the backdrop, which is fine. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be very visible. You need to be able to see you, hear you. If you've made it to the end of this video, congratulations. I'm sorry I'm rambling. I'm not going to have these kinds of videos on here very often, so please go to our YouTube channel for the studio, which is Mighty Tripod Acting Studio. Make one more tweak here because I'm still trying to dial in and find a really good spot for the balance of light. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good right there. So thanks for hanging out with me again. This is David S. Hogan. You probably know that because you're on my YouTube channel. If you have any questions about our teaching service, mightytripod.com is the place to go. You can also find me at davidshogan.com. I hope you are staying safe. I hope this finds you well, and please keep in touch. All right, y'all, so you just saw me recording some videos, and obviously you just watched a whole video talking about self-taping. Now we're going to look at a little bit of editing. So I'm going into my photo roll, or the Photos app, then I'm going down to videos, and I want to find that vertical video that I filmed. This looks like it. And I want to tell you that you can do editing right here inside of your camera roll rather than doing editing inside of iMovie. So I'm going to pause it right here. At least I'm pausing the video. Okay, and now I want to find an area of this video where I'm basically head to toe. But let's just say I was looking at this section here where I'm seeing shoes, seeing head, and I'm like, you know, I want to reduce some of that headroom. It's not a huge deal. If your video looked like that, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but just so I can show you how to crop here. Excuse the road noise. Alright, upper right hand corner, edit. Okay, now down at the bottom of your iPhone, the crop icon, which is right next to that word done. That is the icon for cropping and rotating. So I'm going to touch that. It's going to ask me if I want to straighten the video. I don't. I'm going back up and I'm looking at the top of the screen. Next to the three dots is a rectangle with other rectangles inside of it. And that's all about frame sizes. In my opinion, that's how I'm interpreting it anyhow. That's the one I want. So I'm going to click that. Back down at the bottom, it's asking me about, well, what kind of frame size do you want this crop? And I want 9:16 instead of 16:9. Okay, so now it's like showing me that, which is a little bit odd. Where'd my feet go? Now I'm just going to, I pinched the image versus this is expanding the image, that is pinching it. Okay, so I want to just now, I had to pinch it to make it all appear there. And now again, since I'm only interested in reducing headroom, I want to resize a bit so I can either expand the image with my fingers like that, pulling them apart, or just go up to the upper corner and make your adjustments by touching either the upper right hand corner, upper left hand corner, and just dragging that down and creating a new size for the frame. This is what I would do rather than pinch to zoom or pinch to expand. Cool. So now that's where I want it. I am going to hit done, bottom right hand corner. And it's going to take a while to save this video because this video was actually pretty long in length, in duration. So it'll take a while, but once that is saved, that's the video that I am going to import into iMovie. So I've done all my resizing or cropping before I take the video into iMovie for editing. Alright? Stand by, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at iMovie and we're going to drag in this video clip and a video clip that was filmed with the camera held horizontally. See you in a minute. All right, let us open up iMovie on our iPhone. Upper left-hand corner, plus button. We are going to create a new project, and that new project is going to be a movie. So touch that. Now we have to select our clips. I'm pretty darn sure, actually I know, the one that's 11 minutes 34 seconds long, that is my vertically shot video that will stand in as my slate. And the one next to it, 9:45, that is my horizontally filmed video, which is standing in for my scene. 1, 2. Click those both with your finger or your thumb, and then down at the bottom you're going to click or touch the words Create Movie. Okay, now the bottom of the screen. Alright, so now I have two videos down in my timeline. Alright, one is my vertical shot. Where's his head? Oh my God! How did that happen? Yeah, that's a problem, but there's a fix. I'm going to quickly just tell you how to fix that in just a moment. So look, there we go. I've got one clip and then two. First thing I'm going to do is, I don't like transitions. I don't like this little dissolve thing that they put there, so I'm going to click that. That little thing looks like two triangles. Yeah, I'm going to click that. Makes it yellow. Down at the bottom, check those words out. Bottom left-hand corner, none. I don't want a transition there. Personal opinion, no transitions in your self-tapes. Boom. Okay, so now there's none. So go straight from that clip. You see where I'm moving right there? None of that stuff. I don't want anything that comes before that. So I'm going to touch. Again, I'm in the timeline, which is the bottom half of my screen here. The top half, that's the playback window. I'm just going to touch that clip with my finger in the timeline, which turns it yellow, just like that. And then down at the bottom, very small letters, I'm going to hit the word split, which cuts that clip right there where that timeline cursor is, which is the white line. Cool? Hit the word split. Whoop. Now I have created two clips that used to be one. Now this stuff right here, I want that stuff. Highlight it yellow. I'm keeping that. So I'm going to look at this stuff on this side, touch it, which highlights yellow, and then bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to hit delete. Bye-bye. So now that's gone. All right, now let's just say, okay, that guy just clapped. We don't need that clap. I'm going to tell you, let me show you. Can you see where he claps? Claps his hands right there. Everything before that clap, I'm just arbitrarily saying I don't want that in my edited final video. So I'm just going to trim it out by dragging the left-hand side of the clip. Click the clip on the right, make it yellow, take my finger, touch the left-hand side that is yellow, whoop, and then I'm just going to hold my finger down and drag my finger right until, look, he clapped. Don't want that, but I do want all of this. Great, so now the first portion of that clip is gone. Now I can also do that same thing at the end of the clip if I wanted to drag the right-hand side of the clip to make an edit, but let's just say right there where he touches his glasses, that's where I want to cut, right after he puts his hands down. Boop. So then the timeline cursor, that white line, is right where I want that split to be. Touch the clip in the timeline, it gets yellow around the edges, hit the word delete, boom. Uh-oh, I made a mistake. I didn't hit the word split, but look, in between, kind of in the middle of the screen on the right-hand side is that arrow. It's like a curve and then an arrow. It looks like the letter C, but backwards with an arrow. Touch that, and that means undo. Okay, so I can get that back. I can basically, oh my gosh, I didn't want to do that, so I can just go back to where I just was. So what was I saying? He touched his glasses. He put his hands down, and that's basically where I wanted. Well, it was arbitrary anyway. Oh, is that where we were? Let's just say that is. He touched his glasses, puts his hand down. Now, hit the word split. Boop. And now the right side of the clip on the right that is yellow, I don't want that. I'm going to hit delete. Delete that. Good. But now I still have this problem of the headless slating man. So, highlight the clip where the slate is, which is right here on the left. Boom. And now up at the top, right underneath that question mark, is a very small magnifying glass with a plus symbol. Touch that with your thumb or finger, it'll say pinch to zoom, and what you're actually going to do is you're going to pinch, and it's not actually going to zoom, because zoom to me means get closer, make it larger. You actually want more of your image to fit in there, so you're just going to pinch. You pinch it, and look at that, there I am. Release your fingers, and now it is the proper size. Oh my gosh, magic. Cool, so now I have my slate, and it goes into my scene. So when I export the video, that's going to be my audition. So next steps for exporting, and again, you may know how to do this, but just in case. So now you're totally satisfied, your video is where you want it. Upper left-hand corner, click the word done. And now it says My Movie Number 7. You're going to touch that and give it a new title. David Hogan. These are just some labeling conventions. Underscore. How about the role name? He's auditioning for Bob. Underscore again. And then project. JCT, project title, whatever the title is of the project. Cool, so now I've named my file. And now one more step down at the bottom of the screen, that share icon, which is the square with the arrow. And it's going to ask, where do you want to send it? Do you want to send it to David's iMac? Do you want to send it to Instagram, Stripe, Gmail, YouTube, etc., etc.? Or do you want to save the video or export the project? There are tons of options. I'm not going to go into all of them, but typically for most folks out there, you're going to probably send it straight to your YouTube, or you'll save it to your camera roll and then share that with maybe your desktop and then go to WeTransfer, something like that. Alright, so this hopefully helped you out. If you have more questions, never hesitate to reach out. Mighty Tripod Acting Studio, David S. Hogan. We are here to help. All right, have a great day. Cheers.